Now, if you've clicked on this video, then the reality is you're probably approaching reference mixing entirely wrong. I'm going to tell you a little story. So I had this mix I was working on, and it was taking a lot longer than usual to get the mix to sound right because the client kept saying that there was too much high end in the mix. So I kept on de-essing, I kept on reducing the amount of high frequencies, I added soothe, I added all of these different kind of things. And no matter what happened, they kept coming back to me saying it still feels too bright. And the mix got to the point where I was like, I know this no longer sounds good. Now, of course, all mixes are subjective, but there just wasn't enough clarity and top end in this mix. So I asked her, I said, can I ask you, what are you listening on? And she said that she was listening on Spotify on her phone. And that led me to investigate. I wonder if there's a difference between how Spotify sounds compared to how Tidal sounds, Apple Music sounds, Dropbox app sounds compared to how WhatsApp sounds. So then I said, okay, you're listening to your reference mixes on Spotify. What are you listening to my mixes on? She said, oh, I'm listening to them on the Dropbox link. So I had to listen to a mix that I had released on Spotify. And then I also had the same mix in my Dropbox. So I listened to it on Dropbox and I listened to it in Spotify, and they sounded very different. And the key difference I noticed is the Spotify one sounded really compressed and also didn't have as much high end in it. So then I said to her, okay, I'm going to do an experiment with you. Show me a mix that you love. I'm going to play that mix to you on Spotify, and I'm going to play the same mix to you again on Tidal so you can hear the difference between the two. And she literally said she didn't like the Tidal mix because it had too much high end in it. And at that point, I realized, wow, it really matters what your clients are listening to mixes on when they're giving you notes, making sure that they're listening on the same device. So if I send you a mix via Dropbox, then I would advise you load your reference mixes into Dropbox and A/B them that way, because Spotify, Apple, and Tidal all sound completely different. This really opened my eyes because I then realized all of these mixes I've been referencing on my Spotify account aren't sounding accurate because I'm working on the lossless version, the highest quality version when I'm working within my DAW, when I'm working within Logic. But the reference mix I'm listening to on Spotify is the one that's actually gone through their codec and had their compression applied, which means that file that I'm listening to on Spotify isn't even how it actually sounds. If I was to hear the mastered version of that file before it was uploaded, it would sound different. It would sound more percussive, it would have more transients, and it would have more dynamics. And this is where ADPTR STREAMLINER comes in, because the person who coded this plugin absolutely understood this, and they gave us probably what is one of the most important reference mix plugins. Now, of course, there's Metric A/B. You can load in your own songs and listen to them, A/B them, and this works as well. But the power in this one is you can actually click through the different codecs to be able to check how is my song going to sound on different streaming platforms. So to show an example, you can actually click Codec on, and then you have Spotify, Apple Music, Tidal, YouTube, Deezer, so forth. And the powerful thing is you have the different quality versions of those. So if I want to hear how the free version of Spotify sounds versus the premium version, I can just do this. And if you pay attention to this area, you can actually see that it changes to let you know the exact codec that's being used. And this is extremely powerful because I'm able to be like, okay, I know you feel like the mix doesn't have enough high end in it, but I'm going to send you another version of this mix. I can enable the Spotify codec, and then I can set it to the high quality premium, or I can set it to the free quality, send it to the client. They can A/B, and then they can let me know whether the mix really has an issue in the high end or if they were just hearing the difference that Spotify was adding. And I haven't even got to the best part of this as well. They have this function within this called A/B, but when you hit the sync button, it now takes your reference mix and takes your mix and puts them exactly in time with each other. So I'm going to play you two versions of this production that I've worked on. There's the version that I had, which was the original production, but I wanted to make it a little bit better and give it a better mix, but I didn't want to lose the essence of what I had in the original. So I loaded the original version into the reference mix, and that became B, and then A would be my current mix that I have within Logic. it's been something that's really powerful for me, because I know that when I export my mix, I don't have to worry about how's this going to translate. Once it gets onto streaming platforms, I know when I export something, it's going to translate exactly how I want it to. So it's not a long video today, but I thought it'd just be one that is extremely helpful to a select amount of people who find themselves in a situation where they're using a lot of reference mixes. Don't make the same mistake that I made. Make sure that you're referencing accurately, and make sure that your clients, if they're going to be comparing something, make sure it's on the same app as much as possible. And if not, then maybe you can get something like this and send them 2 versions of the mix, one with the Spotify codec enabled so they can hear how it's going to sound on Spotify, and compare it that way. My name's Alex Elliott. If you like this kind of content, then stick around and check out some of my other videos. If you really like the other videos, then go ahead, hit the subscribe button. I'll be happy to have you, and I look forward to seeing you all next time.